Hey, and welcome to the video on keywords for SEO. So in this particular module, we'll be talking a lot about keywords. We're talking about how they're used and how to think about them, and you are going to get some very specific examples on how to do some keyword research, how to do some basic stuff, but also how to do something a little bit more advanced that most people don't do, that I think is going to be really helpful for you. But I really wanted to start this off and just sort of give you an overview of keywords themselves, how Google understands them and things. This may seem a little bit tedious at times going into this, but trust me, if you stick with me through this part, we will get to the juicy strategies at the end. We'll get to the juicy point where you're able to actually do some research and find some value for your business through this process. But understanding the whys and the hows are super important to making sure that you don't go down the wrong path. So please bear with me in that, and we'll jump into this in just a second. But I appreciate your attention, and let me know if there's anything in here that you have any questions afterwards. There should be ways to contact me to ask anything, any questions you might have around keywords and how to research them and what certain things mean, etc. So now we're into a scene transition here, and we're looking at the slides that you should be familiar with by now, right? So keywords, coming up in this, we will be talking about keywords, the theory behind how Google looks at them, what they think, how they understand pages and them relating to keywords. That's important. So we're going to go through that as fast as possible, but we're going to make sure we touch that. We're going to look at keyword criteria. Now this is going to be a little bit more hands-on in that this is going to directly apply to how we do some keyword research later and what that means for you. We probably will touch very briefly on keyword intent, even though, look, I don't want to get bogged down in this. And then we're going to look at a keyword spreadsheet that I'll show you, which ties in with the research side. And the spreadsheet is a simplified version of generally what I use in my own agency. Simplified down for you just to pull out all of the extra SEO mumbo jumbo and other things, just to make this very easy for you to be able to get started and get headed in the right direction. That should be available to you as well within the course. There'll either be a link below or there'll be an ability at least to contact me at the very least and get this off me if this is something you want. Ultimately, it's probably something you could do up yourself as well if you would like, this I guess there's something in just having that sort of thing done for you, right? So moving on, once I go through the sheet and sort of show you how that works, we'll jump into how to finding keywords from scratch using Ahrefs. So Ahrefs is an SEO tool that we'll have mentioned in a previous video. It's one of my essential SEO tool sets. I think it's of just immense value and really is the best tool of its kind in my opinion. And if you use others, this will be possible with other tools, definitely. This is just my preference and I can't cover all tools. And then finally, we'll look at how to steal your competitors' keywords. Now, this is a strategy that I think is super valuable and many people don't use, and you can use it yourself to make sure that you're looking at the right keywords and that you are researching what actually has value and has been proven to have value from your competitors, right? Now this last point ends up in a separate video, just depending on how long this one has to go for, but I will let you know, I will provide you with that detail. That's a super juicy bit I'm sure many of you are sort of perking up about right now, and personally I think it's just going to be of immense value for you and make it so much easier for you to get an idea of what a good keyword is in the long run. So moving on, keywords, right? So we covered this again early in another video, and this is just a copy of another slide there. A keyword is anything you type into Google search box. So it can be one word, it can be multiple words, it can be a question, right? So it could be better described as a key phrase or a key word, but just the general terminology in SEO is anything someone types into Google is a keyword. So keeping that in mind, keywords really are the basis of how Google understands the web and the basis of how people search. Now the reason they're the basis is because words have relationships to topics and themes, and you need to be able to understand a topic or a theme or have an idea about a topic or a theme to know the word exists, right? You wouldn't know that shutter speed is a thing if you didn't know much about photography or maybe videography or anything like that, right? So you can see how this works, right? So everything in SEO really determines with having keywords relevant to what you want to be known for, and that's how Google's going to see and understand you and move forward with ranking you over time. Again, underneath here, keywords you choose for SEO need to be relevant, specific, and somewhat popular. Now, I've broken this into some more specific criteria for you, but this is just a little touch base primer for you. Just make sure you've always got to keep that part in your head as you're doing keyword research. So Google works on keywords, as I said, and essentially with maybe some minor variations in names and things here, you'll see that Google works on keywords, create themes. Themes are parts of topics, or keywords create topics, which are parts of themes. It really depends on sort of where you come at this from and what your preferred, I guess, naming or nomenclature is. It doesn't really matter in this scenario. What's important really here is that you understand how this works. So if you look at the first point here, this collection of text documents, this is what Google sees a web page as, right? Just a collection of pages with content on it. And it doesn't understand what that is. Imagine when it first started to crawl, this is basically what it's doing. Their web crawler is going out through the web and finding all these pages and saying, all right, well, all of these got words on it. How do we organize this? So essentially what they do is they look at topic modeling and clustering words by topic. And then you can have your cluster of documents then put together by topics as well. So, certain words are only really going to be applicable to certain situations or to certain particular scenarios or events. So keywords, as I said before, like shutter speed, FOV, maybe lighting, things like that, are going to only really apply together on a document when you're talking about a very smaller set of topics, versus in another scenario where lighting might apply to all sorts of things. It might apply to LED lighting, or it might apply to stage lighting, but it's very different to photography. So by looking at a number of keywords and how they appear on pages and how often they appear on pages together around certain topics, Google's able to create these cluster of documents and say, well, when shutter speed and lighting and FOV are mentioned together, it's usually going to be one of these couple of topics, and it can be more narrow and narrow over time, and they get an understanding of all that. And there's all sorts of these other factors that bring in to help them find relevant pages, but it all starts with these keywords. The keywords that people put in and the keywords that you put on your page to help Google understand where to put you in its collection of documents. When you run a search, put a keyword in and hit enter, Google goes out and says, well, what are our cluster of documents around this keyword, and what does that generally relate to in a topic? And based on these couple of words that you've put into the search box, Google will return to you, hundreds of thousands of results in a fraction of a second and say, hey, we think this is all relevant. And that's pretty much how it works, right? And it all comes from that seed keyword, that first couple of keywords that you put on your page, and how often you put that on other pages on your website. So super, super, super important, foundational for SEO. There is a ton of foundational things for SEO related to like indexing your site and the structure of your site and how Google crawls it and all that sort of stuff. When it really comes down to keywords, you're really setting the tone for the content, right? And the keywords are going to relate to the content, which is going to relate to the type of traffic you get. And that's why it's super relevant to get this and get that. One page on the web, generally when we as SEOs create a page, we're looking to create a page for one keyword, and that's our main keyword, right? It may rank for 500 other keywords as well, because we've got all sorts of words on there. But that one keyword is what we're saying, hey, this is our prime target. This is the primary thing we want to happen. And we'll look at this much more in depth on how that targeting happens on a page in the content video. But right now, let's move on. I think I've covered this enough. I think you definitely get it by now. Let's go into the criteria. So the question that arises from all right, keywords are important, we get it. The next question that arrives is, well, how do we choose a good one then? If they're so important, how do we choose a good one? So here's the 4 criteria that I've set out for you that I think is going to help you a lot, at least in the beginning, into picking a good keyword. Now these are relevancy, business potential, volume, and searcher intent. If you can keep these 4 things in mind as you think about what keywords you're choosing and start writing these down in this growth, in this template, you're going to be in a position to be choosing always better keywords than someone who was sort of just floundering through this. And you're going to reduce the amount of time you spend potentially trying to rank for keywords that won't bring any value to you or won't be worth the chase. that maybe you'll never rank for, or maybe you won't rank for 6 years, because it takes time to rank for some keywords more than others. So a good keyword is that sort of, it's sort of probably, you can see this diagram here, but it's probably sort of more of a Venn diagram really of relevancy, business potential, volume, and searcher intent, all coming together. So relevancy is our first one. And really the main question you're asking yourself as you choose a keyword is this keyword relevant to my business, services, industry, or solution, right? So there's a lot there to go into that, and that's because you can choose a lot of different keywords. Not every keyword has to be transactional, right? That's those buy now keywords. Some keywords are informational. How do I? What is something? Some are navigational. This could be branded keywords. Someone's searching for your brand, right? You'd want to rank for that. Or maybe even searching for a competitor's brand. It might fall into a little bit of a different category, right? So you've got all these different types of intent that goes behind keywords, yeah? And what you're trying to do amongst all of those different intents is make sure that no matter what the intent is behind that it's still relevant overall to your business and your industry. So if you're searching for, let's pretend you sell cameras, you manufacture DSLR cameras, and there's this brand new type of camera that no one's ever seen before. It can do all sorts of cool stuff, and that might be great, but really what you need to do is make sure that every keyword you put down is going to be relevant to DSLR cameras or photography or something to that effect. Otherwise, what you're going to find is that you're going to start being put and pigeonholed into the wrong types of searches, and you're going to get irrelevant traffic. So everything needs to be relevant. If you are selling cameras, photography, cameras, all that sort of stuff, they're the types of things you're making sure you're choosing keywords around. You may, and many people do like to from time to time, write about things completely left field because it's of interest to them or because it matches company values. And that can be things like, social issues, or it could be things around development or enlightenment and things like that, because, different companies are made by different people who have different values, and values are very important to the people inside the company and even your customer base. But you can't write too much about those things without linking it back to your main services or brand or industry without getting pigeonholed in the wrong direction. And that's the point of this relevancy criteria, making sure that even if you go a little bit outside, you're bringing it back to here, and the main amount of your content is going to be about what is relevant to your industry. So next, business potential, right? This is obviously going to sound a little bit like, well, duh, to some people, but really it's easy to forget in sort of lofty goals, and definitely if you get fixation on high volumes, right? So you need to be thinking when you pick a keyword, does this keyword have business potential in the form of someone looking to buy, someone researching a solution that I have, someone trying to solve a problem that I could help with, or someone who's looking for information about like our industry or our service. Now, looking to buy is easy, right? That's going to have business potential. But the rest of them can be a little bit wonky, right? Researching a solution makes sense. So that would be in the scenario of, let's say you deliver a SaaS accounting software, right? And you are saying, well, look, someone looking to buy would be like, online accounting software, potentially. Or actually more to the point, they might be like, buy accounting software or accounting software subscription or something to that effect. That's a very buy-orientated keyword because they're looking for things like subscription or buy in the phrase, right? It's very easy that they're bottom funnel, they're looking to transact. Researching a problem you solve might be someone typing in like how to do payroll. That could be really helpful for them if you've specially got a service that makes that easier for a DIY business owner to do that particular thing. And then third, you might have solving a problem, right? So a problem might be like, how do I keep track of my business expenses, right? That could be helpful. What should I do with my receipts? Things like that could be really helpful. And someone who's looking for information about industry or service is going to be really similar to that as well. It's going to be people who are looking for things like how to, or what is gross profit. Things like that might be really helpful, because usually you would think that people who are looking for this are going to have an interest in some kind of accounting somewhere. Now, you're always going to get a large different amounts of intents, and not everyone, no matter how sort of great the keyword sounds or transactional it might sound, is going to be looking to buy straight away or even buy from you, even if you are number one. but you want to make sure that this is built into your thinking about the keyword. Otherwise, you don't have any possibility of that being the case at all. Moving on, volume. So volume is something that people get stuck a lot on in SEO, especially when they're new to SEO. That goes for everyone who's completely never done marketing or SEO before, to SEO noobs or SEO. Some even SEO, old hats in SEO will focus on this, right? They forget about the fact that there's all these other things that go into a good keyword, and they say, hey, the good keywords are the one with the biggest searches per month. 200 to 2,000 searches per month, in my opinion, is usually the sweet spot for most businesses. But some people will say, no, look, if I sell DSLR cameras, I need to rank for DSLR camera. You get 60K searches a month, and I need to be number one for that. And honestly, for most people, it's not going to be worth the chase. Targeted searches, targeted keywords that provide more context are much easier for you to transact from and much easier for you to make a sale from than this sort of scenario. So bigger isn't always better. So a good way to explain that is this search demand curve. You've got the top here in the red, you can see here, highly popular searches, right? All these red, very few searches are highly popular, but they do have 10,000 or more searches per month, right? Now, they're highly popular in terms of a lot of people put them in to the search box. They're also highly popular in a way that a lot of people think they want to rank for them. Now, what does that mean for you as a business trying to rank for that too? Is that it's super hard for you to do it, right? And a lot of the times it's going to take you a long time to do so. So what you need to make sure of and be careful of when you're doing this sort of thing is that you're not trying to chase these, because for most of you, this is not going to be something that's in the realm of possibility. It's going to be something that you're going to spend probably years chasing. In the meantime, not get a lot of value out of SEO, not get a lot of return on investment, and then just get frustrated with the whole process, scrap it, and walk away and have to rely on paid solutions. And now there's nothing wrong with paid solutions in general. Nobody wants to lean on paid all the time and have to pay for everything they get if they can get it for free, right? And while SEO isn't free, technically, if you can rank somewhere, and if you can rank number one, you have sustainability in these positions generally for months, sometimes years at a time. So there's a lot of value in that. The ROI for SEO is probably one of the best things in digital marketing. I think the only thing that I know that I think that in digital that can beat it is probably email addresses, right? So, if you've got an email address, as long as someone doesn't move, that's a captured lead. Versus SEO, you're opposite, you're sort of the top of the funnel. If you've got a number one position and you don't move, that's a ton of extra potential traffic every month. There's a ton of almost guaranteed traffic every month if you don't move off that top spot. And that search continues to be popular. And for most of these searches, it's going to. So this is called the short tail. This red area here is called the short tail because the short tail keywords are the shorter keywords that they're part of the short tail, of this demand curve of how popular keyword is. Then you've got the longer tail, which is this purple area here, or generally the green to the purple area. And these are less searched keywords, but generally they're more targeted, they're more specific, and they're better for you to start looking at. So you can see here that the searches that these shorter tails get are starting this green here, top of green is 1,000, all the way down to basically 0 searches per month, right? Now, although you don't want to search for 0 searches per month, you don't want to rank for 0 search per month keywords necessarily, you do want to be in this sweet spot here, probably somewhere between 1K and 100, or even 1K down to 10, depending on how specific these things are in your industry. All sorts of strange things happen out there in search. But that's your sweet spot. I recommend 200 to 2K purely because I feel like between rank for a keyword with 100 searches versus a keyword with 200 searches, there's not much difference. It's basically the same difficulty most of the time, but you're just aiming for higher traffic, and I don't want people to just focus on lower numbers better. And the other reason is that I think that 1K to 2K, if you can rank for a 1K keyword, you can probably rank for a 2K keyword. But then things get exponentially harder after that for sure. 5K, things like that, it can be very difficult. So that's my sweet spot here. When you're choosing keywords, you need to think about, okay, well, how many searches does this get? Okay, it probably gets 20,000. So probably it's going to be super competitive. it's very unlikely I'm going to find a keyword that gets 20k searches that no one else is trying to rank for too. So I need to be aware of that when I'm pursuing the keyword. And if I need ROI now, if we're not ranking for anything, this isn't the keyword for me. I need to be looking at things that are less competitive, but just as important to me business-wise, right? And that's why we had that other criteria there is, does this have business value to me? Because people get focused on volume. So here's a little bit more detail about the short and the long term, which I just went into there. Short tail keywords are generally broad, unspecific. So SaaS is a short tail keyword. SaaS company or marketing or digital marketing are short tail keywords. Not just because they're 1 or 2 words long, although that is usually the case, but basically because they're super competitive and that short tail on the demand curve. My recommendation, don't make them your aim. Write them down if you want, put them in your spreadsheet that we'll look at in a minute, but don't try and rank for them out the gate. Long tail keywords, these have smaller volume, but they usually deliver higher quality traffic, as I said before. Bitcoin would not be a short tail one. Buy Bitcoin probably wouldn't also be one. But long tail things like buy Bitcoin in Brazil, how to buy Bitcoin privately. If you're a solution that helped do that, these would be way more long tail. At least, that's the concept, right? I haven't looked at those keywords specifically, so don't quote me on them right out the gate. But that's the concept, right? The more specific you get, generally, the less people search for them on a monthly basis, because not everyone's in the same exact scenario or looking for the same exact thing, or even thinks about typing that same thing into Google the same way. Moving on. So the third criteria is intent. Sorry, that might be the fourth. The fourth criteria there is intent, right? And intent is everything in SEO when you're looking to create content. Now, keywords, I know that's what we're talking about now, but you have to think keyword creates content. And if you're not thinking about content, at least in the back of your mind somewhere, as you're picking these words, you're going to get derailed very fast. So put yourself in the mind of the person searching and think of what intent will they have. What sort of thing are they looking for? What result would they expect if they search this? And you can understand that from your perspective too. If you've ever been to Google and clicked on the first link and it's literally not what you were looking at before, if any of you are sort of getting on in years and getting a bit older and you can remember what Google was like, years and years ago, it wasn't the best, right? It wasn't clearly the best either. But it's get much better now than, it's why people don't use Bing to a large degree, because Bing has a reputation for largely just being irrelevant in its search results. And even though they actually have gotten a lot better, people generally just default to Google because Google set that reputation early. If you search for something, you'll get a result on what you're actually looking for. And that's really based on how good they've been at understanding the intent behind what people want when they put something into the search box. So put yourself in the mind of the person searching and think about what they're looking for. And then we'll get more into this second point when we do look at writing content. But the next point is just verify with Google before you plan and write content what that keyword, what they're rewarding for that keyword, what the intent is already for that keyword, because people really want to make sure that they're getting. You really want to make sure that you're creating something that Google is already rewarding. And the reason Google would already be rewarding that content is because people are clicking on it, spending time on it, and not bouncing back to Google search and trying another search, etc., etc., etc. So intent, super important. So summing up again really quickly, what searches do I want to show up for? You're sort of thinking about that all the time, right? When you're putting keywords in and you're measuring that against this criteria. Is it relevant to my business? Does it have business potential for me to either make a sale or potentially grab an email or have someone who I can start a relationship with through my content that will transact with me in the future or recommend me, right? And 3, volume. What kind of volume does this keyword have? Is it short or long tail in the search volume? Is it going to be very competitive because of how popular the keyword is? And then number 4 is searcher intent. Are we able to provide what people expect to see here, right? If they're looking for a directory of something and you can't provide a directory, don't try and rank for it. It's pretty simple. It sounds simple. It sounds like, well, duh, but you'd be surprised at how often that happens. So moving on, let's take a look at our keyword research spreadsheet and how that helps you to measure against this criteria. Now, as we look at this keyword research sheet, we're going to be looking at some very basic how-tos on doing keyword research and how this helps you, right? So I've got it open here already. You can see it here. We don't need any of that stuff. So you can see it here, right? Status, keyword, funnel stage, likelihood to buy, volume of searches per month, difficulty to rank, traffic, and traffic value, right? So what you'll see here is that we can match a lot of this against the criteria that I've already been talking to you about. Now, if I go back to my criteria here, I've got relevancy and business potential as the two first dot points, right? And as you see here, pretend all these are different keywords, and we'll fill this out in a second. We've got, okay, keyword. Let's say the keyword is buy Bitcoin, right? And then another keyword we might have is Cardano. And we're going to pretend that we're a solution right now who wants to, we're an exchange, we're a new exchange, right? And we're trying to attract people to our new exchange using SEO traffic, right? So we would say, okay, well, look, I need to make sure that I've got, that I'm relevant, but the keyword is relevant to what I'm searching for. So as an exchange, buy Bitcoin makes sense to me. So does Cardano. We know that intuitively, but not every keyword's going to be that easy to figure out, right? So we're going to go funnel stage is a really big helper for that. Top, middle, bottom, very simply, right? We know that buy Bitcoin is probably going to be closer to the bottom of the funnel. There's a buy word in here, there's a transactional word in here. That's indicating to me someone wants to buy closer to the bottom of the funnel that we want to put them through. We want them to buy it on our solution. So, okay, bottom of the funnel. Awesome. Cardano, we're going to say that's the top of the funnel. Why the top of the funnel? Well, because Cardano, they could be searching for anything. The price, they could be searching for, recent news about it. They could be searching for tweets about it. We don't know exactly what they're looking for around that. We don't know if Cardano is the name of a, maybe it's the name of a obscure town in the English countryside. I don't know. So we want to make sure that we put this at best, it's going to be top, right? But we know that Cardano is popular, is a popular crypto, and it's something that is going to be relevant to us somewhere. So we're going to put it at top, and then. So now we fulfilled the funnel stage here, which is it relevant in general to our niche? Now we're going to say, okay, this likelihood to buy is our relevancy to our business, right? And this likelihood to buy doesn't need to be immediately. It can be in general, right? But we need to think about it per keyword basis. So buy Bitcoin, it'll be bottom of the funnel. Likelihood to buy, high. Likelihood that they are going to buy something, buy Bitcoin, very high, right? Likely that they're going to buy from us, not necessarily, but these people are in a buying mindset. Versus Cardano, top of the funnel, likelihood to buy, we're going to say low, right? Low. It's a keyword which is going to be relevant to us, but it doesn't have, it's relevant in this funnel stage, but it doesn't have a lot of business potential for us immediately, but it does have some business potential. So if we ranked for it, we'd be okay. Versus, let's put something very left field out here. Let's say US dollar exchange, right? Now that's something that, as a crypto exchange, we would say we don't do at all, right? Let's pretend that that's something we don't do. So the funnel stage would be blank. It's not going to be relevant to us. Likelihood to buy from us going to be blank again because it's not relevant to us. So we're going to have to move on from that and just say, well, look, this isn't for us. We're going to just have to find another keyword. We wouldn't keep that in here. We'd delete it out. So next, sorry, my bad. Back here. We've got volume and searcher intent. Now these things we have to gain, one from Ahrefs specifically, and the other we have to gain from just a little bit of our own research. But we can see that if we fulfill basically steps 1, 2, and 3, searcher intent is something that we can decide when we go to the writing of the content versus everything else. Verifying for searcher intent for every keyword as you do research is going to be extremely time consuming and not worth the effort, in my opinion, in my experience over the last 10 years. You're better off to just eliminate the ones where you realize the intent is outside of what you thought it was later on. These 3 are very verifiable and easy for you. So Ahrefs, if you haven't seen Ahrefs, but you should have now, this is their homepage. They've got a 7-day trial for $7. I'd recommend doing it and signing it up if you want to start doing this and having a look at it all. Their prices are pretty reasonable outside of that, especially if you're doing this in-house. I get no referral from this. This is not benefiting me. I just feel like they're the best solution in the space, in my opinion. and definitely worth looking at. So that's their pricing there. If you're going to be doing this in-house, generally this is a great starter for you, $99 starter. You can do all the keyword research. You're going to get enough results for you to be able to see and look at. Most people aren't going to need this standard price until way later on down the track. I think you're going to get plenty of value out of this. It does all sorts of other SEO stuff, which I'm sure we'll touch on in other videos, but let's get back into the actual keyword research, right? So when you sign up and log into Ahrefs, you'll see something like this. Generally, you will see your website down here as you go through the setup. I've just hidden these projects because I've got clients who I just don't find fair to be showing their results here without speaking to them all, and it's just better to skip it. So when you're going to do keyword research, you're going to go to Keyword Explorer, right? You're looking for keywords, makes a ton of sense. And you'll see something like this, right? You'll see Keyword Explorer. You've got an ability to look at the keyword volumes from all of these different search engines, Bing, Amazon, Yahoo, etc. For the most part, I recommend Google unless there's a specific scenario where you are trying an Amazon solution or Yandex is a primary for you. But generally, Google is going to be the biggest and the best, and everyone's going to want to rank for that. Most of these others are only really for specific scenarios. So what you're going to do here when you look for some keywords is you're going to just enter a keyword, right? So you're going to pretend here you're starting from a hunch, right? You're starting from a seed keyword. You do a thing. I'm going to use an example from a client that I do have, and they provide medical marijuana cards via a telemedicine platform. So people don't have to leave their house to get an MMJ card. And I'm going to use them as a quick example here. So what I might do is MMJ card for this. Now I can separate these by commas, or what I prefer to do is just do a whole new line, shift enter, and then go medical marijuana card. Let's say MMJ card NYC. Let's try MMJ marijuana. Right, so we've got a couple of keywords in there, right? I'm just writing in a couple of variations of what their service is. I've written one in with a location that they service. I'm trying to get an idea, right? And what we do when we hit enter here is it's going to spit out a couple of, it's going to spit out these keywords with some metrics next to it. So you can see here that MMJ card at the top here, MMJ card NYC, didn't get enough traffic to warrant any results here, and generally that means is it'll be getting that specific phrase under 10 searches a month, probably closer to 0 or very rarely typed in. Now that might be because MMJ card New York is more popular, or maybe MMJ card Manhattan is more popular. So if you get this, you're just trying to iterate a couple times and find what else might be popular. But going back to our example here, let's look at our template. Let's clear our Cardano and Bitcoin examples, and let's set this up ourselves here with these keywords. So we've got medical marijuana. So what I do generally is I can copy paste, or I can just type it in, and I'll copy paste that in here. And basically I'll say, well, medical marijuana, if I provide a telemedicine platform that helps people get certified so they can get it, the funnel stage of this is probably going to be closer to top for me, because this is a research-based keyword in my mind. It's very broad. I can't tell whether people want legal advice about it, whether they want a card. I can't tell whether they want news about it. I have no idea. So generally what I'm going to do is say this is top of funnel. Likelihood to buy here, we can say high to medium, and these high to medium, the likelihood to buy is purely an internal guess. I mean, you have to use your best knowledge on what you provide, and thinking about how close this is to an actual sale to you that people search here, and then just make a judgment call. And you'll learn as you go within your own business what judgment calls are better than others, right? So let's say that this is going to be medium for now. We're going to go back into here. So that's fulfilled our first two criteria, and we're going to go volume, right? That's our third criteria. So 57,000 searches a month is our volume. 5, 7, 1, 2, 3, right? And then we've got a difficulty to rank here. You can see 0 is equal to easy, and 100 is equal to impossible. Now, it's not impossible to rank for a keyword with the KD. This column here, this KD column here, of 100. It's just extremely difficult. So if you have a look here, this is super hard. It's considered super hard by the tool. 90 is the keyword difficulty up the top here. So what I'd put into here generally is I'd say, okay, 90, right? And then I'll go to the next one maybe, and I'll have a look at that one. The other thing I do sometimes, which helps us contextualize this, is we look at, okay, well, who's number one for this right now? And what kind of traffic are they getting? So you can see I'm in medical marijuana here. There's 57K. Number one right now is WebMD. WebMD is getting the traffic to this page, 34,505 visits a month. Now, this is a guesstimate made by this tool. So it's not gospel, right? It's not taken from their Google Analytics or anything, but it's just based on the positioning of the page over time and the algorithm that Ahrefs has. And every tool is going to have a slightly different algorithm for this traffic, for the traffic value, for keyword difficulty, even for volume right now. Google doesn't release these numbers to the tools. It's based on a lot of data and a lot of scraping, a lot of things that they've done over time. So say 34,505. So what I'll generally do here then, is put this in here, 34,505 visits per month, and I'll look at the value then. And I'll say the traffic value of this keyword is going to be is going to be down here. I apologize. Of this particular page ranking for this keyword, right, is going to be $66,000, right? Right? So that tells you how much it would cost in Google Ads if you were to pay to get this same amount of traffic. $66,000 if you were paid per month to get this amount of traffic, right? So that helps you contextualize at least a little bit on like, all right, well, what's the ultimate value of this if I can rank number one? It's worth $66,000 a month in savings, technically, if I don't pay for that traffic. That's just a good, all-round number to use as a benchmark. So now you've got this for one keyword, you'll move on to the next keyword and you'll have a look at that. And you'll say, okay, medical marijuana card, way more relevant to us. Final stage of that is probably going to be at least the middle, let's say the middle for now because it can still be informational. Likelihood to buy, we're going to say middle, and then we'll take a look over here again and we'll say it's KD, and this line here you can see here is 60, and its volume here, volume per month, that always is 16,000, right? So we go 16,000 and 60 as a difficulty. And then to find out these other metrics, we'll just open that. I've just right-clicked on this one as another page here, and you can say, okay, well, who's ranking number one? You can see here it's NugMD. NugMD is ranking for that. Their traffic is 24,000 searches per month, 24,000 visits per month from that ranking. 24,500. I'm pretty sure it just said. And the traffic value, if I have a look at that page here, the traffic value of this page for all the keywords it ranks for right now is $39,000 per month, right? So it's worth $39,123 per month. Okay, so you can see how this goes on and on and on. Now I'm just going to grab out a couple a little bit quickly here and show you how to choose good keywords versus bad keywords a little bit. And then we might shut this video down. I think we're at 38 minutes now. So we're probably at 45-ish minutes then. And I might create for you another video, as I said earlier, on how we pull keywords from competitors and use that for picking keywords for yourself. But let's just finish this off really fast and forgive me if I zip through this a little bit here. So you can see that medical marijuana card was our keyword. Maybe I don't know what keywords to search for next. The idea of this sort of tool is that I can put a couple of these seed keywords in like I did before and get some stats on those keywords. But the next thing I can do once I've sort of put those into my sheet and I don't know where to go is I can say, well, look, this tool provides me a list of keywords where the terms match. So all of these keywords, there's 25,000 keywords where medical marijuana card is included in the search phrase, and it adds a keyword left or right or within them all. So you can say, okay, these are really similar keywords in terms of context that people are searching for. It provides you with questions as well that you can have a look at that might be super relevant to you. It also provides data, so the pages that rank for this keyword, medical marijuana card, what other keywords do those pages also rank for? And you can see there's a number of keywords here. And you can also see a fourth one here, also talk about. So the pages that rank for medical marijuana card, what do those pages also talk about? And you can see there's a lot of other data here as well. So what I would do maybe is I would say, well, look here, how to get a marijuana card is a question. That makes a ton of sense. That looks like a good keyword. Let me put that in there first. And I might come back over here and open that as its own keyword. The other thing I can do is I can go, well, show me all the keywords where the terms match. And boom, you can see all of these have, if I do a search here, medical marijuana card, you can see that that phrase appears in every one of these keywords. And if I went through all these 505 pages, you'd still see it all there. It appears in every one, and it's just added keywords left or right of those. So this helps you to do some more keyword research and be more specific on what you're looking for and what you should be trying to rank for. So for example, you might want to say, well, we service Ohio, so that's great. Maybe that's what we do. So Ohio medical marijuana card, that's looking like it's going to be closer to the bottom because they've specified a location. It could be middle, bottom, make a judgment call as I said. And then we can say, okay, the likelihood to buy, medium. Let's say medium. It doesn't say get, it doesn't say buy, it doesn't say, book A or something like that. So we're going to say this is medium maybe, and we can start filling in the data here. So if I go back over to this and I start to fill in the data, 2,100 searches a month, and its KD, its keyword difficulty here is 28. So we can see here it's going to be 2,100, 28. And then I can go back over to here, open it up as its own keyword, and grab out the value of the traffic data and the value of the clicks, right? So 5,991 traffic to the first result. So if I ranked first, I could expect to get roughly about the same. And the traffic value of this, as stated by Ahrefs at least, is saying that if I rank for first and I rank for all the keywords this page ranks for, that's worth 13,000 in dollars per month. That's how much I'd have to pay Google AdWords to get the same result. So 13,000, right? So now you can see that this starts to take a little bit of shape here. Let me just fill in this how to get a medical marijuana card as well really quickly. Keyword difficulty is 10, 1.2 in volume, so much closer to our sweet spot before. 1,200, 10 is a keyword difficulty. I would say this is going to be closer to the bottom. I would say that it's going to be high. If they're looking for a how to get, and this is what I sell, it's a how-to phrase, so I'm going to say, look, this is very highly likely that they're looking to buy. And this is something that I really, really want to rank for. So let me just quickly check the top results for this. Here we go. Weedmaps is ranking number 1 here. They have 5,700 over here in traffic, organic traffic for this particular keyword. 5,768. 5,768 for this particular URL. And then traffic value is 9,100. 5,768. Traffic value 9,100, right? So now you might start to be getting how this keyword research works. So pretend we've got another 10 or so in here. The next step we do after this keyword research, before we get to the content side, and we'll probably look at this all over again in the content side just because it's more flow that way. But you can see here that then the next step for me is going, well, damn, that looks really good. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to find what I can rank for faster rather than slower, right? So now we're able to say, well, these are very short tail keywords. We don't want to rank for those right now. We can say that they're very high in difficulty to rank for. Great, even though they've got a lot of value. But what we can see here is this is a bottom funnel. So we can start to filter, right? We can say, okay, sort by, clear that, show me only bottom funnel keywords. Bottom funnel, likelihood to buy, really high. Volume of searches might be low. Difficulty to rank is low though. So what we're saying here is if we rank number 1 for this, we're going to have roughly, and if we rank number 1 for this, plus all the other keywords that that page ranks for, this is as close as we can get to a real number, but we're going to be able to get a ton of relevant traffic based on what we provide, right? And they're highly likely to transact. If they're looking to transact, we can be number one. We can show them how, make the process easier. Now we're into how does SEO really turn into dollars? Not just how does it turn into these fun rankings that SEOs talk about, but how does this translate into money, man? How do we actually profit from this damn thing? So that is really the bottom line of what we're looking for. And you could imagine if I go out from here and I look at middle, you can do the same thing in middle, right? So say we had a couple of keywords here, or even top, you can start prioritizing what you're going to rank for all the time. Medium. Oh, there we go. Sorry, it was showing up the whole time. You can start prioritizing what you want to rank for. You can say, well, I want to rank for, you're going to sort A to Z, I guess, if you want. Bottom, right? Likely to buy, high and medium. Well, damn, I'm going to start creating pages for these. I'm going to start writing content to rank for this sooner rather than later. Now, which one of these I'm going to choose? Well, I'm going to choose the one that's bottom of the funnel. There's a high likelihood to buy. It's easier to rank than this other keyword, even though this is relatively easy too, technically. I'm going to do this one because if I create this content and rank for this, well, I create this content and maybe the next one and the next one, hopefully this one should start ranking, right? And I should be able to start getting some ROI on this. So that's how we choose, that's how we start to do keyword research, right? And this is the slower manual way, but it's important for you to understand all these features, yeah? So that's what all I did here, as you can, just to recap, right, is I put in these seed keywords. I got some data from this. I went into each one of these keywords, and because they were relevant to me, that's why I put them in the first place. And I said, okay, these were relevant. They did have volume, so we'll add them to our list. But I realized that they're very high. They're very short tail keywords. They're very difficult to rank for, and they're very popular. So I'm not going to try them. I'm going to do some extra research, right? And I just opened up some of these other little features that Ahrefs has, as you can see here. And I went, hey, what has similar terms? What are some of the questions that might be useful to us? And I've gone, well, great. Now I understand here that I've got some valuable keywords to us. Now the next step you might do before you move on, and we didn't cover this here so far, is the searcher intent, right? Now this might be the next step that we get into more in content, but essentially what we're doing is we're saying, well, now I know that the next one, this one, how to get a medical marijuana card is super relevant to me, and I'm more likely to rank for it, more likely than the other keywords. People who search for this are probably going to buy from me. Let me take a look at some of these pages and see what the intent here is. What kind of pages are these? What kind of content's on them? What does Google like about them? How can I figure that out so that I can provide something similar that people are going to enjoy and that Google's going to recognize, right? And now we're starting to meld in a little bit the merge between what the digital world's all about and what the real physical business world needs to merge with to actually find ROI value out of SEO. That's it. I'm going to leave it there at 48 minutes. I will create a second video here that's going to show you the process of doing one of these breakdowns for stealing your competitors' keywords and doing some research on what they're ranking for and what might be of value to them, and trying to figure out what you can sort of steal as a keyword to outrank them for, or take and go, well, let's add it to my keyword research and we'll rank for that eventually, and we'll just keep an eye on it. All this great stuff. But for now, I think that's a ton of value. I think there's a ton there for you to remember. I don't want to make this any longer. I will see you in the next video. Thanks.